Hi, welcome to the Jon Gaunt podcast. Tonight, the question is this: are we on the verge of a kind of civil war? Is the UK on the brink? Nigel Farage today warned of civil unrest. People are saying he's irresponsible. I think he's tapping into the mood of the country. The BBC, I've just watched the 6 o'clock news. They haven't mentioned him at all. They are all in denial. So are we heading to civil unrest, even a civil war? We'll talk about it here on the Jon Gaunt Show. If you've got a view, I want to hear it. Write it in the comments and I shall read them out and we shall have the discussion that the lamestream media is too frightened of. So as I say, Nigel Farage, or Reform UK, he's today warned that Britain, the United Kingdom, is on the edge of civil unrest. And he's not backing down. So is he right? Or is this fear-mongering? Tell me now as we break this down. He says, Nigel Farage, that civil unrest and the warning about it is important because he believes we're approaching, if not already at, breaking point, which is interesting. It's what I was kind of saying in the podcast yesterday. He's talking in particular about what's been going on in Essex, in Epping. What do you make of that? No one can condone it, of course, but the people are getting angry, just like they did in Ireland. So he's got some bold proposals. And I guess it's easy to make big proposals when you're 4 years away from an election, although he is now effectively the unofficial opposition. And I think the BBC ignoring him today and the other parties poo-pooing what he said is going to be another big tactical mistake, because I think the proposals he's put forward will be very popular. He wants to deport foreign criminals, especially Albanian gang members, and he says he's already done a deal with Albania to make that happen. He wants to outsource prison sentences abroad. So for the most dangerous prisoners, he wants to send them to places like Estonia and even further afield. Would that be workable? Would he do it? He's also saying, and this is going to be extremely popular, he wants 30,000 new police officers and a massive crackdown on crime. He says every shoplifter will end up going to court. He's had a massive go at the UK's soft justice system. He's demanding longer sentences. It almost doesn't sound like Farage, the libertarian, but he's cracking the whip. Do you think it's about time? He talks about the Epping unrest. And obviously, where's Tommy Robinson going to fit into this wider conversation now? What's your view? Tommy's already said he wants to have a mobilisation of people in Epping in a few weeks' time. And what does this all mean for Reform UK's strategy? And do you think the public, i.e. you and me and everybody else, do you feel that actually he's right, that he's got his finger on the button? Let's get straight to it. I've been saying for weeks Britain is broken. Now Nigel Farage says we're on the brink of civil unrest. And I think he's right. The streets aren't safe. The prisons are full. We are releasing prisoners. Well, we're not. The Labour Party are. And the criminals are laughing in our faces, including the illegal migrants. Talked about this yesterday, didn't I? The guy who's taking selfies on his mobile as he comes across the channel. And what are our leaders doing about this? Absolutely jack all. They've all gone on a 6-week holiday. Well, apart from Starmer, who was getting quizzed today by one of the Commons committees, he said, well, there's plenty of houses for the asylum seekers. So somebody on the committee said, where? He said, well, I can't tell you now, but leave it with me and I'll give you the answers. The sniff, the smell of absolute BS was incredible. Whereas Nigel Farage, yes, he's a populist. He wants to send foreign criminals back home or even to prisons abroad. He wants to lock up the scum properly and correctly. And he wants to get 30,000 more bobbies on the beat. Now, does that sound extreme to you? Does that sound far right? Or does it sound like common sense? I'm going to go through his proposals in more detail as the show progresses. But we've got riots already, haven't we? In Epping. And the police are stretched to breaking point. And we've got a justice system that's softer and damper than a wet flannel. And let's not dodge it. Tommy Robinson is back in the headlines, so he's going to stir it up as well. So all these things connected. But mostly tonight, I want to hear from you. Is Nigel Farage from Reform UK finally saying what we're all thinking? Or is he simply stirring the pot? Are we heading for chaos or a reset? Don't sit on the fence. Jump in the chat, hit subscribe, and let's have it out here on the Jon Gaunt Show now. This is the conversation that the mainstream media are just too scared to have. But we're going to have it tonight. So if you've got a view, I want to hear from you, and I want to hear from you now. I see the comments are going crazy. We'll go through each of his proposals in detail in a second, but let's take your immediate reaction to what he's had to say. And don't forget, if you have enjoyed this tonight or are enjoying it, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe on Facebook, but also on YouTube, Jon Gaunt TV. It doesn't cost anything. It just means you always get warned when I'm doing extra shows. And yesterday, Sunday, I did another show. We had a good turnout, but we'd have had more if more of you were actually hitting the notification button, the subscription button. All right, let's get started. Jackie Ward says, I feel Farage is right. There is a growing unease amongst the general public. Ronnie Hurst, simple, just says Nigel for PM. Jackie's back. She says, I think for... I've just read that one, sorry. Give Tommy a chance at being the London mayor, says Ronnie Hurst. There's about as much chance of that happening as me winning Slimmer of the Year, but thank you for your comment. Farage is a banker elite, no fool. I don't really understand what you're trying to say there. Maggie Young says the Greeks are now putting their foot down. Maggie, great point. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, the Greek foreign minister has been around, and he's basically saying if you come to Greece and you're illegal, you're not staying. We're either going to deport you immediately or we're going to put you in prison. Now, I don't want to be rude, but Greece is part of the European Union. It's signed up to the ECHR, the European Court of Human Rights. So how come Greece can say, we ain't having this anymore? And on the same token, Italy's getting tough as well. Whereas anybody mention getting tough on these illegal people breaking into our country, we're immediately described as far right. This country that won 2 world wars has lost its backbone, or perhaps we've been taken over by the woke mob. They dominate the media. Like I say, it was very telling tonight, and I'm going to watch the 10 o'clock news to see if it changes on BBC. They didn't mention Farage at all, and these proposals, which an awful lot of people who I guess also pay the licence fee probably agree with most of what he said. That's the problem with this country. The uber-liberal elite who dominate everything. They run the media. They're all sleeping with the politicians. John Malone says reform all the way. Mark the Vicar says, I like Farage, but the more I see controlled opposition. Disappointing. I really hope I'm wrong about him. That's on YouTube. Yeah, a lot of people come up with this, he's controlled opposition, but at least it's bloody opposition. I do think this infighting on the right has to stop. I'm interviewing somebody on the right later this week for one of my set piece interviews. You know this new thing I'm doing, Jon Gaunt Meets? I did my first one today, which was fascinating. It was about the death of the British pub and hospitality in this country, but it's also with a guy whose brother was brutally murdered by his girlfriend, who used to work for Fergie, not the pop star, Fergie, the member of the royal family. And it's a brilliant interview. It'll be going live tomorrow. It's a pre-record, but you have a listen to that. But listen to this about pubs, because you'll enjoy this show tomorrow. For every £3 a pub or a restaurant takes, £1 goes straight to the taxman. How the hell are we meant to make hospitality work if that's the truth? But that's for another day. James Morrison, UK was broke. Blame Blair. Labour councils broke the housing list. Each family set up in a home. Well, it's all of them have done that, haven't they? Conservatives, I mean, Maggie Thatcher, I was a fan of Maggie, but when she allowed the selling off of the council houses, but the money wasn't ring-fenced to be reinvested in more social housing, that was a mistake. I think you've got to say that. You may disagree. I was going to say pick up the phone. Not yet, maybe in a few weeks. But pick up your fingers and type me a response to that. Right, let's just look at some of his things in detail. You're listening to the Jon Gaunt podcast, broadcast, whatever you want to call it. Don't forget, it is on YouTube now, Jon Gaunt TV. Please subscribe. Doesn't cost anything. Just hit the little button at the bottom there. Thank you very much indeed. So, his proposals, Farage, standing in front of a lectern which said Britain is lawless. I think I've got to agree with him. He wants to recruit 30,000 more police officers. That gets a tick off me. He wants to prop up Nightingale prisons to create 12,400 more cell spaces. Temporary prisons like the Nightingale hospitals, as we did for COVID. I think that's a good idea. He wants fast-track arrests through 100 pop-up custody centres for crime hotspots. I said this ages ago, I think when I was on TalkSport. If you yobbo on a Friday night or a Saturday night, you should be up before the magistrate, before the chili sauce from your kebab has congealed on your grotty little T-shirt or bra. Agree with me? Well, that's what Farage wants to do. And then, this is the big one, and this is which is going to cause... But I thought this would have got a reaction from the BBC. I thought they'd have been spitting out their cafe lattes and choking on their tofu burgers when they heard this. He wants to rent 10,000 prison spaces for Britain's worst criminals. And he wants to put them in so-called third-party countries, such as Estonia. They're already doing it for other people. And, controversially, El Salvador. And the reason he wants El Salvador is because that's what Trump's doing. He's sending some there. Now, I don't know whether this is practical, but say, for example, Ian Huntley or one of those people, Rudy Cabana. I mean, I'd have topped both of them. Both of them would have had the Saddam shuffle. But we haven't done that. Why do we keep them in British prisons? We can probably get them locked up, banged up, treated more harshly abroad. Let's get on with it. Then he wants to repurpose or reopen 50 mothballed premises and turn them into courts. And he's also saying life in prison for serious offenders. Anybody who commits more than 3 serious crimes, it's 3 strikes and you're out. It's goodbye. You're going to prison for good. Now, do you agree with any of those or disagree with all of them or perhaps agree with some of them? Let me have your views. He says, and this is the exact quotes, this is Farage, simmering anger and disgust. He says he's warning the simmering anger and disgust over the flood of migrants entering the country, and he says it could ignite a national meltdown. I think he's right. And after the figures yesterday about the violent crimes and the rapes that some of these, it's a minority, I know, have committed, I think people are getting angry. I think that is what you're seeing in Epping. Public's faith in the state to protect them is crumbling. Nigel is bang on the money. This is his exact quote on Epping. He says, on Epping, I don't think anybody in London even understands just how close we are to civil disobedience on a vast scale in this country. And I regret saying that. Don't underestimate, this is him again, Farage, the simmering anger and disgust there is in the country that we're letting in every week, some days many hundreds of undocumented young males, many of whom come from cultures in which women and young girls are not even treated as second-class citizens. What do you make of that? Do you agree with him? And he says he wants to deport them. He wants to put them in Estonia. He wants to put them in El Salvador. He wants to get tough. Now, of course, it's easy to say when you're in opposition. But do you believe him? And do you trust him? They went on. Sarah Poachin was there as well. She says enough of police no longer using stop and search to tackle knife crime. Enough of police ignoring mobile phone theft and ignoring the rise of blatant cannabis use on our streets. Enough of the police sympathising with protest groups that simply don't reflect the views of the majority of the British people. Police need to police with impartiality. Do you agree? Let's have that debate now. Join in. Let's get talking. This is the Jon Gaunt podcast, broadcast, whatever you want to call it. Write your comments. The better they are, the stronger they are, more chance of you getting read out. And don't forget, if you want to help me to keep these independent podcasts going, I do get some advertising now, as you know, but, not much. So if you want to help out, you can donate a coffee or a beer simply by going to www.buymeabeer.com/Jon Gaunt, Jongaunt. You'll know it's the right place because my picture pops up. And if you can donate anything from $5 upwards, that would be good. If you want to donate a bit less or even a bit more, you can do it on YouTube as well by just clicking that $sign there and donate what you want to donate. If you think this is worth something, sometimes it's good to give a bit of cash, isn't it? Not just keep taking it for nothing. Don't worry, you're not going to prison if you don't pay, but it would be nice if you contributed. We're all far right for caring about this country. If you listen to our traitor leader, Starmer, you're absolutely right. Pete Mills on Facebook. You see, this is the other thing. I think they don't understand how much he's hated, or he doesn't understand it. You want to see this. It's on this Common Select Committee today. You'll be able to find it on YouTube. It must be up there now. But the BBC won't cover it. He basically lied again today and said, oh, yeah, there's enough houses for all the illegals. Oh, is that right? Well, why isn't there enough houses for people who live here then? Who have contributed? Why isn't there enough houses for our veterans? Why are they shouting and screaming in the street while you let in 23,000 people since you come to power? I'm angry. And I thought today, at least with Farage, because let's face it, when it was UKIP, when it was the Brexit party, he didn't have a hope in hell of being elected. But he completely does now. And they know it. They know it. They are bricking themselves. Those sounds today, that wasn't thunder clapping. That was their arse cheeks of the establishment clapping together. They're petrified. They are petrified of the challenge he's bringing to the table. Tina Hudson, I think, agrees with me. She's on Facebook. She said, I watched the complete press conference and have to agree with everything he had to say. It was common sense at last. Thank you, Tina. Well, that's what I thought when I was watching it. Gregory Galvin says, evening, John. Good evening. Pete Mills says, thank God we have you talking sense, John. Well, I'm not so sure about that, but thank you for your nice comments. If you want to contribute or donate, get on with it. Hi, John. Great show, says Villagast. He's on YouTube. What person wouldn't want to live in Farage's UK? Oh, yeah, that's right. Criminals and illegal immigrants. That's who. Let's just hope it's not lies like the rest of the politicians. I think that's a good point. It's always good to put a little bit of caution. He's talking a great game at the moment. He is talking a great game. How could anyone object to the idea that the most violent criminals, 3 strikes, you're out forever? Or how could you object to, let's send them to El Salvador? Let's send them to Estonia. Let's put them up in a prison. I'm talking about Rudy Cabana, who killed those kids. He should have been executed. But in the light of that not happening, let's send him to a tough regime where we don't have to pay so much on him. We can't afford it. We're skint. And we can't afford all these illegals coming in. I still can't. But I said yesterday, I've got it here. It's had a massive response. 70, 80,000 impressions, whatever it's called. I said, how much worse does it have to get before Keir Starmer calls a state of emergency? MPs shouldn't be going on 6-week holidays. They should be manning the borders and emptying the migrant hotels. Now, I don't mean that literally, but metaphorically. How can they have 6 weeks off at the moment when the country is, and I'm going to say it, being invaded? Gregory Galvin, this is on YouTube, I don't care who leads reform. They're getting my vote regardless. Amrit Pol Second, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. He says Nigel is PM. To a large extent, mate, you are bang on the money. He's already dictating the whole agenda. They're all petrified of him because the best thing that he can do, he can talk. Keir Starmer comes over like a Dalek with the batteries running out, doesn't he? Well, not even that interesting. Kemi, well, she gets lost within her own verbosity. Then you got that little pipsqueak, what's his name? Robert Jenrick, who suddenly disappeared because of all the bad press he's been getting. Who else have you got? Rupert Lowe. Well, no, see, this is the thing. Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib, they are not going to do it. They're too far behind to start. They may have better ideas even than Nigel. I don't know. But voting for them, what an utter waste. John Godley says, at legal aid for migrants, if they stay, they pay. I think that's a nice one. Justice system is broken because it's based on lies, says James Morrison. Greece and Italy are putting their people first. Starmer is bending over like it. Yes, Ronnie, can you just be careful what you say? I don't want you to get arrested, but I certainly don't want my podcast being pulled down because you're making a joke which some people might take the wrong way. Yeah? There is no evidence of any sexual connection between Starmer, I have to say this, and those rent boys of a sexual nature. It's all supposition. So don't say it on here. Do you understand? I'm working hard to make this happen. Amrit Pol Second again. He's coming on twice now. Britain has lost its balls. You are absolutely correct, Amrit. Do the same now before it's too late, says Deborah Payne. Yeah, we should follow the example of Greece. Do you agree? Getting so many comments, I've lost where I am. I do apologise. So, what do you think about the specific things he's saying? 3 strikes, violent strikes, and you're out. Using Estonia and El Salvador, is that just nonsense, or do you think that's a good idea? What about temporary Nightingale-style prisons? And do you actually believe he will do any of this? And can we change the lefty mindset? Like I say tonight, they didn't even mention his press conference. That's bang out of order because he is basically the opposition. And they're going to look stupid when he wins, aren't they? Anyway, John, could you ask your listeners, would you let your children walk about at the moment without guidance? That's a very good question. My girls are grown up now, as you know. But I would be worried if they were much younger. And I am worried, even because sometimes I'll talk to one of them. They're in London. I say, where are you? You're working there? No, I'm just walking there now. And then I can hear a tip-tacking on the pavement. And then you hear all these stories of people having their phones nicked. It is frightening. Maybe because I'm an old fuddy-duddy. I don't know. What do you think? John Drummond, don't put up links unless you're telling me what the link is. He's put up a link from Facebook. It might be nice. It might be complimentary. I don't know. But tell me what it is before you do it. I'm not here to provide a service to other people and their views. The left are firmly in control now regarding decision-making from within. Farage and reform is the last chance saloon for the British people. Absolutely. I'm not a massive fan of Nigel, he says, but he is our only chance. I've got to agree with you. I've got to agree with you. Mark the Vicar says, I'm voting for reform. Don't worry about that. Well, thank you. Gregory says, will UK politics conspire to stunt Farage like they did with Marine Le Pen in France when she was going to win? Yeah, of course they will. There's a story it's just breaking at the moment, where they reckon the Electoral Commission and the establishment got together to try and stop Brexit, try and persuade people and get more people to vote to stay in the EU. So, yeah, they'll do anything they can to thwart what we want. But in the end, when it comes to that ballot box, as Trump has proved this time, if you get enough power behind you, populist power, you can't be stopped. The people cannot be stopped. So I would hope not in the end. James Morrison, Nigel plays working lad, but he lives a elite life, mainly in the EU. He would go Trump style on the NHS, etc. He does live in Belgium, you're correct, most of the time. He has got an elite lifestyle. I've been for lunch with him and had a hangover for about a week. You're right. He has got money. But you know what? As I've grown up, I'm not having a go at you, James, I've become more accepting of people. Everybody in the media and in politics at his level is so part of the elite in a way. I don't think he'll betray us. I don't know, but that's my feeling. And Trump style on the NHS, there's a lot of misinformation. He wants to privatise bits of it, but he doesn't want to privatise it totally. But he's right on one thing, isn't he? It's an absolute mess at the moment. Terry Warford, Facebook. Yep, Tony Blair is still pulling the strings. He certainly is with Starmer. No two ways about it. Now, everyone's using this ridiculous term. Key 33 censored. Ooh, you're so radical. You're so right on. Shut up. Tommy, control opposition. So is Farage. People, don't be deceived. No civil war as you think. You have no AMS logistics. I'm not even gonna read it out. If you're gonna write something, write it in English, you idiot, and stop with your conspiracy bullshit. Go off and do it in the sixth form. Dunstan Cook, sorry. Evening, Gaunty. We're only having this conversation in my office today about civil unrest. I do believe our country is a tinderbox, and it won't take much to ignite. No, I'm of that opinion. I don't want it to happen. Of course I don't. And I don't mean people who are supposedly far right, he goes on to say. It will be people who are so fed up that they cannot see another way out of the dire situation in our country. I got a lot of sympathy with that thought. Thank you, Dunstan, for making it. Where have you been recently? We haven't had you on. Good to hear you. The prison ideas are obviously a threat to the low IQ, saying that Pakistan would be my destination of choice. I don't want us to have any more to do with Pakistan, my friend. I don't think we should be letting their planes back in. I think that's all a mistake. I really do. And I think it'll come back and bite us on the arse. Simple to deal with the problem. Stop the hotels, stop the grants, stop money, stop housing, stop council aid, stop think tanks, backing in the court, set rules and a vote like Palestine, an emergency vote. James, you're beginning to talk a bit of sense. Thank you for that. They're very much indeed. Send irregular illegals to China for slave labour. That would solve it. Oh, come on, try and be sensible, Ronnie. By the sounds of it, Farage actually does understand how we feel, John. And he at least has some ideas of how to deal with it, unlike the present government who are just clueless. They are. Absolutely. And there's an old listener of mine, Jake Morton Brown. Evening, Gaunty. Our lad. Evening, Jake. I hope you're going to make a comment in a minute. Right. So, quick breather, quick advert. The new series, Jon Gaunt Meets, where I'm just going to be talking to interesting people. Today's is about 35 minutes long. Recorded it earlier. There's no interaction with you, the audience. You can do it afterwards if you wish. They're set-piece interviews. They're not edited. They're still as live. And today I did one about the the end of the British pub. The Daily Telegraph reckon in 20 years there'll be no pubs left in the UK. Now, we got into a really interesting conversation about maybe that's what the politicians want. They'd rather us be at home drinking shit lager from Tesco's, not conversing with each other, watching rubbish telly, probably women's football, and sort of anaesthetise us, yeah? You know, the opium of the masses, so to speak. Because the pubs, when people used to come out of work and go to the pub for a couple of hours, that was dangerous, wasn't it, to the establishment? So we talk about that. We talk about how you can't employ young people anymore and about this knock-on effect of how that's going to damage society. It's a really good interview. And the guy knows what he's doing. He's been running this particular hotel of his for 35 years. And then we talk about the exploitation of the deaf. His brother, Tommy, was battered to death with a cricket bat while he was asleep and then stabbed through the heart with a carving knife by this woman who used to work for Sarah Ferguson. She got sent down. I think she got 14 years. She escaped and then she had to go back in. But now she's a free woman. And now TV companies want to make films. You may have seen one of them. Films or documentaries about it. Well, yeah, okay, one or two. In the last 19 years, I think it is, there's been 11 different films being made. That's almost grief porn, isn't it? Do you understand what I'm saying? And Rick talks about this so movingly. So make sure you download that when it goes up tomorrow. I'll probably go up in the afternoon about 2 o'clock. I'll still be doing the 6:30 show. It's just something different I'm doing. And I've got another really interesting guest, which I'm going to do on Wednesday. That'll be out on Friday. And then I've got Howard Cox, Fair Fuel Campaign, who's now working with Ben Habib. I'm putting him in the can on Thursday. So that'll probably be up over the weekend. So they're just a bit of difference. So you can see I'm working my little balls off here. So if you think that's worth donating to, www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt and donate anything from $5 upwards, or just do it here on YouTube by clicking that $sign. Julie Brown, now I agree. Sort our own homeless people out first before anyone else. Yeah, you should have heard me effing and blinding at the telly, Julie. I'm sorry to say that's what I did. When Starmer said there's plenty of houses for everyone. He's absolutely outrageous. Oh, I see that the guy I told off for making out he was such a hero, he's come back with a much more sensible thing now. So keep doing what you're doing, but powers that be want all this, all designed for a long time. It's an easy solution. No money benefits for anyone who's been here for less than 5 years, unless working or legal. Well, that's what we should do. Nobody should get benefits. Nobody, if they haven't put in. Of course, there should be a qualifying period. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to stop in a minute. Farage is correct on everything he said. He's a true leader, says Jeanette Poulton. Thank you, Jeanette. It's not the migrants or the criminals that worry me most. It's the apologists and the idealists that are embedded within our governments, national and local. Our banking system, they're in there as well. Our schools, our NHS. Yeah, you forgot the police. The police, the health service, they're everywhere. The common purpose mob. You're so right. This problem has been brewing for many years. Blair, Sherry Blair, Starmer, etc. It was all pre-planned in the 1990s. Skip now to 2025. New laws have the impact when the mass movement began. Yeah, you lost yourself there. You were making sense for a minute, but then you went off on one. John, the country is in debt, 2.8 trillion, 110 billion pounds interest per year. Depressing. And it's getting worse. Only Nigel Farage and reform can save us. Do you agree with that? Tell me, please, now. Hi, John. I think Farage more Prime Minister material than Starmer. I think are there. I don't understand the last bit, Craig, but I do agree with you. Of course he is. He's much more of a Prime Minister, a statesman than Starmer will ever be. Starmer's finished, but we're going to have to go through this little farce of pretending he isn't. He's finished. No one takes him seriously, not even his own party. Tina Hudson says he did say it would be difficult to implement much of his plans. with the woke brigade. She's watched the press conference with Nigel today. But if enough people get behind the changes, could that be enough to really sort out this mess? Well, I hope so. Tina. Farage said Starmer's EU deal will be flying out of the door if he gets in. Yeah, it will be. David Skinner just says Jon Gaunt. What does that mean? Yeah, that's my name, Jon Gaunt. Don't wear it out. But don't really understand why you've just put that there. But never mind. Villagas, he's saying, why don't Labour start and adopt an illegal scheme where you're responsible for their actions? Let's see how many put their name to that. Well said, my friend. Mark the Vicar. Where's he gone? I've sent you a £5. Buy a bottle of plonk on me. Thank you. I don't buy plonk with it, especially not in the week, school days. But thank you. It all goes into the pot to help me keep my head above water while I make these podcasts for. I can't believe how much interaction we're getting today. Lauren, if the NHS was privatised by Farage, at least it would be fairer. I.e., if you pay in, you can take out. That's an interesting way of looking at it. But if you don't contribute, John, you can't use the service, or only in an emergency. That's Lauren. Thank you very much indeed for your contribution, and your avatar came up there as well. That's good stuff. Maggie Young, did you find the name of the flower on your daughter's allotment? Laugh out loud. Maggie, you've got some memory, haven't you? I think it was what you all said. Hollies. I can't remember. David Mark says, evening Gaunty, Farage would be good for this country. Thank you. Woke Khan, Labour illegals, all out. Woke? Oh, the woke, Khan, Labour, and illegals, all out. I understand what you're saying now. Try using a comma. It might help. But I know it's only text speak, isn't it? Right, we're finished. Thank you very much indeed. Enjoyed that today. We need more of that. More of that. If you enjoy the show, the best way you can help me is by, when I finish tonight, you retweeting or sharing on Facebook this video. Tell your mates about it. But also, you need to subscribe on my Jon Gaunt TV channel. It's free. Just subscribe. Then you won't miss anything. And you'll see all the archive of what I've been up to the past, it's nearly 6, 7, 8 months. I don't know. It's been some time. And if you want to help out and you can afford to donate something, feel free, either by doing it here on YouTube or otherwise doing it at www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt. Maggie Young, she does it every night. She gives me the claps. Thank you, Maggie. A few applause. Not holly docks. What are they called? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Gaunty, I voted for reform and will continue to do so. However, one thing I struggled with today was that reform would stop HS2 to help fund some of their policies. But HS2 will all be done and dusted by the time the next election is here. No, Dunstan, you're wrong. I want to scrap HS2, and people will say to me, what about the jobs? What about the money we've already spent? Look, we can't carry on. It's a white elephant. It's on the BBC website. I've got to admit it. There's a fascinating written piece about the HS2 scandal and about how they knew it wasn't going to work and it wasn't going to be, it was going to go over budget. It's absolutely outrageous. Read it. You got permission to go on the BBC website. How about that? Elaine Dawson, you've saved my life, Elaine. Are you using both your names now, by the way? Hollyhocks, that's the one. Thank you very much indeed. And Jackie Ward, as per usual, every night she sent me 3 red hearts. That's very sweet of you. Right, I'm done and dusted. I'll be back tomorrow at 6:30. I will be releasing this interview about the death of the British boozer and hospitality in this country. I think it's interesting. I think parts of it will make you mad. And also this really emotional bit. Make sure you watch it all the way through. The bit when he starts talking about his brother towards the end of it. It's a bit of a difficult listen, that, let me tell you. But that'll be out tomorrow afternoon. And then, of course, the show will be back on again tomorrow night at 6:30. So until we meet again, if you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, don't forget to tell them. Oh, by the way, 36 likes. I think that's the most we've ever had during the live show. So thank you for that. But if you have got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. And don't forget to tell them you love them. See you later. Bye.